Thank you folks very much for the terrific turnout of yet another Data Science Sydney, and I hope no one was turned away, because it looks like we're pretty much at capacity again. So welcome once again. Who's here for the first time? Quite a few of you, great. Well, welcome, welcome. I hope you're all members of the Meetup group, and if you're not, sign up. We are just shy of 4,000 members now, but some more exciting things have been happening with Data Science Sydney. You would have noticed that last month we were running events pretty much every week, and I think I told you that it's time to get used to that, because more and more companies, particularly consulting firms and software vendors, want to be running sponsored events, which is great. So we had a terrific sponsored event from IBM last week. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. Who was there? Who made the IBM event? Going forward, the next exciting installment of the Data Science Sydney expansion will be a new Data Science Sydney visualization stream. So while this group tends to focus, well, on all aspects of data science really, it tends to very much focus on things like machine learning and advanced statistical methods and so forth. I figured there should be a group to focus on something else that's very important and popular, which is visualization. And Stephanie Herr, where's Stephanie? Hiding. I know she's here. Is heading up that group. Also, that should start running in early October. I think it's October 9. We're about to announce the event. Another stream of Data Science Sydney that's about to come online, and it will be running at the Google premises in Piedmont, is something that's, I think, very important, probably the most important issue in our field as a professional field, not just data science but analytics more generally. It's the problem of management, it's the problem of culture, it's the problem of strategy. So the Data Science Sydney management strategy and culture stream will address those issues shortly. Okay, so that was announcements. As always, I think it's important to thank our sponsors. We should thank IBM for the terrific event they put on recently. So I'd like to thank Data Robot yet again. They put on an event over a month ago, but that was just fantastic. So sponsors running sponsored events is great. And of course, the biggest sponsor of them all, the one that just keeps on giving, CBA, which provides these wonderful premises and those drinks and this food and keeps on doing it. Let's give CBA a hand, they're fantastic. Always too many people in the CBA team to mention, and I always fail to mention them all, but Perry's here. Where's Perry? There he is. So there's a man to be thanked for making this possible. Another one is Kevin Simonet. Is he here today? Hey Kevin, thank you very much. And of course, Andre Ivanich. We'll get there. Thanks, Justin. So there's CBA, and of course, another stalwart supporter of this group who provides the video services that you see behind you, all the cameras and the lights, which then make their way to the Data Science Sydney YouTube channel. So if you miss a Data Science Sydney session, you can view it on YouTube, and that's all thanks to Greg Pearl and N-World. And what's N-World? It's a recruitment company. And who's Greg? He is a recruiter with enormous experience and passion for this industry, who's been, like I said, a stalwart supporter of this group and the R user group. And he's someone who has created and turned around the careers of quite a number of the people in this room, and may, I'm sure will, do that for quite a few more of you, and may do that for you. So if you're looking for a new job, or you're looking for an entry into the industry, or you're just curious about what's going on out there, Greg's the man to talk to. So that's Greg up the back, very tall fellow waving, you should know who he is. So thank you very much, Greg, and thank you very much, N-World. I should, of course, thank the sponsors who made venues possible when we first started. So when there was only 90 people attending, Atlassian was kind enough to provide premises which we outgrew. But Atlassian provided premises, they provided beer and pizzas. They were great, and we remain grateful to them and to Tim Garnsey and the team who made that possible there. We also very grateful to Vodafone, who was our first expanded venue, and again, thanks very much to Richard Hunt, who made that possible and continues to support Data Science Sydney and has presented to us more recently. So, I guess the last sponsor I should mention, as always, is Prescient, me. And what do? Well, among other things, the list is getting rather long actually, but the one I should tell you about is our data science analytics training. And there are courses coming up in October. We have a new Python for data analysis course. We have our long-established and recently improved and revised Introduction to R course, Introduction to R and Data Visualization course, and our most popular course of all, which is basically a Machine Learning and Data Science 101, where you learn the key concepts of data science. You don't just learn the steps, you learn why they matter and how they can fail and what to do otherwise. And that's the Predictive Analytics, Machine Learning and Data Science for Big Data course, as well as the Advanced Machine Learning Masterclass. We've also got a number of exciting courses coming up, in particularly a text analytics course and a deep learning course. If you're interested in Prescient's training, well, you know me, I'll be around. Come and ask me a question. So, that takes care of the immediate announcements. Time for our second talk. And the topic will be Trump tweets, fun with deep learning, which sounds like it's going to be fun. Presented by SACHIN, whose last name I have never pronounced before, which I feel bad about because I've known SACHIN for such a long time and he is fun. I'm going to try this. ABEYWARDANA. Yeah, try to pronounce Hirosaski there. SACHIN holds a PhD in machine learning from the University of Sydney and currently working as a data scientist at ABEYWARDANA. And this is the interesting part. His PhD was very much in the Bayesian realm, and he sort of ran away from Baseland to become a deep learning expert, and a very successful one at that. He maintains a YouTube channel with more than 750,000 views, covering topics around machine learning and especially deep learning. Over to you, Sachin.
Okay, so just before I go on to talk about Trump tweets, by the way, can everyone hear me? Yeah? All right, cool. I'm just going to talk about the project around the Trump tweets. It's called deepschool.io, and that's basically my GitHub repo with a whole bunch of deep learning examples. So so this came out of a class that I used to do at work, where I work at Arbor Networks, where I work as a data scientist. We do 1 hour a week each of deep learning, right? So the thing with Arbor Networks is that we're a bunch of software engineers. We're not necessarily analytics people or necessarily into the math side of things. So the goal of this repository is to get software engineers doing deep learning as quickly as possible and doing the really cool things. And so the maths is one thing. I do have a bit of it in there, but something that I actively try to avoid. So the idea is that if you really want to learn the maths behind it, I'll put the references in there. You can come back and take a look at it. Yeah, so everything is done in Python-driven notebooks so that it's interactive. You can write yourself. There's exercises and solutions. By that, what I mean is you're supposed to download it and fill in the spaces, right? So you actually type in stuff, okay, rather than looking at a given solution. Yeah, so just quickly, yeah, so I actually wrote a Medium post 2 days ago on this exact topic. So this is like pretty much what I had to deal with when I was teaching software engineers, right? So my very first lesson was this. And for me, it was really obvious to go and say, okay, so I want this is a multiple classification problem, whereas people didn't know what multiple classification is, right? So I really had to break down things and to get them coding. So the first few lessons in there might seem boring if you're already familiar with machine learning, but yeah. So And okay, so one of the obvious things that I talk about a lot is Trump, because there's a lot of data around Trump. So so Twitter, so there's a lot of tweets from him. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about. There's a fake news classifier in there as well. So some guy went ahead and collected a whole bunch of news articles, which I've done a notebook on as well. So when I wrote this Medium post, there's the obvious trolls that you get. So one of the first things that I got was, you can see, you lost my support when you disrespected our president. To which I responded, take a deep breath. So, and again, not my president. Okay, so before we start, considering it's Trump, are there Republicans in the room? No? Good. If you do, you might want to walk out. So, okay. All right. So, what are we doing with this thing? So it is a technical talk. So I'm sorry if that's what you weren't expecting with this one. So these are the text. I have a CSV file in here that I got from another website, and that's the kind of things that I get. So the first thing that you need to do with any data set is clean it. So when it comes to text data, the obvious thing that you need to do is take the lowercase. When it comes to Trump, he has a lot of emojis, right? So American flag. There's actually a lot of hearts in there as well. So you need to take all of those emojis out, right? So in the end, I don't take out punctuation. So one of the big reasons is like there's hashtags which are treated quite differently to what, I mean, they mean something different to a word on itself, right? So things because of hashtags, I leave the hashtags in there. There's multiple spaces, I reduce it down to one space. Now this part is a bit strange. So tweets, I think was limited to I think 140 characters, but in this data set there were tweets that went over 1,000 text. So obviously it's not a problem with CSV itself. So anyway, what I did was I limited everything to be between 50 and 180 characters. Okay, so everyone follow me so far? Okay. So after that, I have 23,000 tweets. What do I do after that? Yeah. So okay. So keep in mind with deep learning or any other machine learning for that matter, what you need to do is you need to convert words or characters into numbers, right? So you can't feed in characters into your machine learning thing. So in this case, what I did was I take characters, and what I want, the goal that I'm setting up for myself is I want to predict the next character, right? So I want to generate 150 characters. So I'll give it the first letter, which in this case is a special token called Go. After that, I want to generate the next few characters. Okay. Yeah. So I convert each of those characters into a number. Now, before I go on, any idea why I convert characters and not words? Anyone?
Because you want to build the word.
I want to build the word, but
26
Very few words.
it's too many words. Too many words, right? So with characters, you're limited to 86, right? So you only have 86. So it's going to make the problem easier for myself, right? Yeah, and then there's a commas and stuff like that. But regardless, there's only a limited number of characters. Okay, so I want to generate 150 characters. Yeah, so basically this is just a dictionary, so I can come up from a chart into a chart. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've done. And then I look at the histogram of words just to see what the length is. And you can see around the 140 mark, this is a sharp cutoff. So this is not too useful, but you should explore your data set in general. Okay. All right. So here's the actual deep learning specific thing. So what I've done over here, I've set a sentence. So I've set a sentence length is 40 characters. Okay. So and then what I go ahead and do is I'm going to take all those characters and then keep chunking them into sentence length of 40s. Okay, so that's what this loop over here is doing. And the output y is simply just that character offset by 1. Okay, so if I have, so let me just go back to my first diagram. So this is the neural network architecture, right? So you're probably more familiar with the one that goes straight up. So you have an X and then your Y over here. So pretend that H was a Y. Okay? So ignore that there's H. But the important thing over here is that it's going across as well. Right? So the information is moving across. So this is called a recursive neural net. In this specific case, I'm using an LSTM. Okay? LSTM is like a subclass of RNNs. Right? So the main point is that the information moves across time. And obviously the information goes up as well. Right? So an example would be if I have A, B, C, this will be B, C, D. Right? So it's just, so X is, the Y is simply 1, offset by 1. So that's my training set. So let's go on to doing the machine learning part, the modeling part. So, and this is it. So it's only about 6 lines of code. So I'm using this library called Keras, where you can add layers on, right? And that makes deep learning especially like really easy. Right? So let me go through what each layer is doing. So the first one is embedding, which Lucas actually talked about. So what it's doing is taking the length of the vocabulary and it's representing each letter by 64 numbers. Okay, so the 64 numbers are, think of them as having a hidden meaning. All right, so that's why I think just looking at this one. Let's go across. Okay, so this is in 3-dimensional space, but the idea is that there's 3 hidden features that represent man, that represent women, and so on. Okay, so but the cool thing is that they have these relationships which really which makes sense when you look at them, right? When you look at the differences, I guess. So in this case, what is it? Yeah. So each letter has its own embedding, and then we're going to take those embedded sentences. Okay, so you embed in the entire sentence, and then you could pass it on to RN, which in this case I'm using the LSTM structure. And the output of that goes on to a dense layer. So I know I'm skipping a bit of detail, but again, I'm not trying to give you a deep learning theory talk. I want you to go home and just use this yourself, just play around with this. But if you really quickly want to know what it's doing is so this hidden number is connecting onto your Y. So that's really what's happening. Okay, and then the final thing is, so you need to set an activation of softmax, and that means basically you choose your probability of it being a particular class. Right? So basically, all this model is doing is saying, if I give it A, what's the probability of it being B? That's what the output is going to be. So these 3 lines over here model up all these add things, that's what it's giving you. So the first input is a character converted to a number, and then the last one is the probability that you get out of that. Right? So that's my model. So I have my x's and then the y's. So the x's being 40 characters, and then the y's being offset by 1. And then I run the model. So one thing that's always used to look at is the number of parameters that I have to train. So in this case, 43,000. Right? So I think I only have like, so I have a decent number. So 1 million examples to train through. And so which should be good enough. Yeah. Okay. So when the training goes through, one thing that I do is I start spitting out an example of those tweets. So at the very beginning, it's complete garbage, right? So you can't really make out anything out of it. But as we go through, it's starting to make, hey, look, it's making 1 space, and then is that anything funny? Don't think there's anything funny just yet. Yeah. So. And by the way, so the reason it's 242 seconds was because I trained it on GPU. If you're training this on your local laptop, it'll take about an hour or so. Okay, so it does speed things up quite significantly. But at the same time, it's starting to make a bit more sense as much sense that as much sense as Trump can make. Right? So, hey, but at the same time, it's starting to say Fox News, right? So the more that you go on, the better it's going to start training, the better it's going to start meeting stuff, and yeah, so that's pretty much the model, right? So this is pretty much it when it comes to character generation. One thing that I did do though was I could 10 minutes. So one thing that I tried to do was I tried to give it the first few letters and then can predict for itself. Oh, so these are more examples of it spitting out more Trump, some more tweets. Actually, let's just search for Obama there. Right, so it talks a lot about Obama. So there's four mentions that you can see. Obama and Hillary talking to them together. And there's Fox News. So over here, I think it was trying to say Fox and Friends, right? But I didn't quite get there. So, okay, so one of the other things, okay. Right, so the one thing that I did was you can give it the first few letters and ask it to predict the next few characters as well. So, and then I said Obama is, so this one doesn't make that much sense, but you know, it is using proper words. Keep in mind it's doing character by character, so it doesn't really know that off and not exists. Okay, so as far as it's concerned, it's just numbers, right? It's not predicting the entire word, it's predicting character by character. And then I resign, right? So he refuses to resign. But here's the best one. So I put white supremacists are. Okay, and the next word that is spelled out is spread. So you're really tapping into his personality over here. Okay, so does anyone have questions about this, what I've done over here? Yeah?
I'm curious why you left out the emojis, because emojis carry critical information.
Yeah.
Some would say maybe the most important information. You know, the words, you're a jerk, and you're a jerk wink means two opposite things.
Sure, yeah. You can certainly leave it in there, right? It was just a matter of making it easier so I can train faster. So keep in mind, like with all these projects, I wanted to make sure that you can train it on your laptop. Right? So the fewer characters that I have, the fewer number of parameters that I have to train. So so that's why I left it out. By the way, does anyone know why this is somewhat random? So keep in mind that for at least in the beginning, the very first letter that I give is go. But why is it always giving out random sentences? Why is it different? So in my prediction, the way that I predicted it was to say spit out something. So sample. So I wanted to sample from the probability and spit something out. So when I go here, so the model is just predicting a probability B. And then what I say is, rather than taking the maximum probability letter, sample from the letter, right? So this np.random.choice is sampling from that. So ignore these indices, but what it's doing is sampling from that, rather than actually picking out the maximum probability. Right? So if I picked out the maximum probability, it would be staying on the exact same thing over and over again. Okay. I really ran through that. So does anyone want me to do something else as well while I'm here?
How would you improve it? How would you actually make it more meaningful, like the result, the Trump one?
So let me just show you a different notebook that I did. So I did Shakespeare one. I thought it was fairly boring comparatively. So the Trump one. So you're talking about why the gibberish is there, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So there's two things that you can do. So train for longer, which is the obvious thing to do. The second thing is stack LSTMs. So if I go to the model train, so all you had to do is just go model.add LSTM, like just write that out and you're done. Okay, so that will make it a bit more complex. So you're adding another layer, you're expected to have more parameters. That means you should be training a better model. So let me just come back to the Shakespeare one, which, so with Shakespeare, you can, I think it makes, so you start to see the training a bit better. So in the beginning, it's again gibberish, but when you get down to the end, so it's voice stop play, so it's starting to make a bit more sense. Yeah.
I think about a year ago, Microsoft put out a learning device out there and to read everything on the net. And it started to turn into a white supremacist, started spitting out white supremacist race statements. I think within 2 days they had to switch it off. Would they have been using the same type of algorithm, same
Sure.
structure?
Yeah, they might have been. Because, again, that really depends on what it learns from, right? So, if it was, if they limited it to learn from particular people, then yeah.
It did a broad, and there was so much dark web stuff, it just became a white supremacist.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sure what they trained it on, but I imagine the model to be quite similar to what I just did. Just because I think I've got plenty of time. So, by the way, this project, so we do, so if you go to deepschool.io, there's a Meetup link in there. So we run monthly meetups and we code there. So all these things that I put up here, we get together, we run through them. I'm there to help you out if you have questions, right? But the main thing is that you're supposed to run these things yourself, right? So, with the theory stuff, I'll help you out as much as I can. But hopefully you treat this as a software problem and not really a mathematical problem. So that's really the aim of doing deep school. What else do I need to say? Oh yeah, and follow me on YouTube. So I do a lot of things. I'm being serious here. So I have a playlist on a whole bunch of machine learning stuff that I've done. Follow me on Twitter, Patreon, right? So if you want to support me of everything that I'm doing, it does take me a lot of time to run through all this code. Yeah, I don't want to go through another one because it's going to be probably a bit too much theory. I think I've put out the message as far as I'm concerned, right? So it's all deep learning tutorials, practical deep learning tutorials, right? And there is fast.ai, but I think the difference between what I'm doing and fast.ai is a bit more community-based, right? So self-sufficient in the sense that the Jupyter notebooks should be enough for you to do whatever you're doing. So, yeah.
The integer you had 64. Can you
Right.
just explain that?
I
think.
I can't. With most of the deep learning stuff that I do, it's very empirical, right? So I don't really have a reason as to why I chose 64. I could have chosen 32. I tend to choose powers of 2, right?
So maybe a better question. Why not 26?
43, 42.
So you got 26 characters. Right?
So,
In the
so
alphabet.
what I can do is I can go back and look at the loss. So one thing that it does spit out is how much, like how well has it done, and the loss is a decent indicator of how well it's doing. So I got a 1.6. So I imagine in this case, if I chose 23, it might do worse off because it's got fewer parameters to model it, right? But again, as far as just the training set is concerned, the higher that number is, the better.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's just the training set. You do need to get a test set as well.
That number's the embedding space for your word to vec, isn't it?
The 64 was oh, sorry. So I happen to use 64 for both of them.
Yeah.
But I could have chosen different numbers.
So the word to vec one is just typically between 50 and 300 for no particular reason other than they work.
No. Okay. So okay. So again, there's no science behind this, but the word to vec, they're training on a huge corpus, right? So whereas over here, I have comparatively limited things, so I don't need to. The main thing is that as long as you got enough dimension to represent that in a huge vector, so you probably need 300 numbers to represent such a big corpus, right? Because we're talking about a few gigabytes of data. And over here, I don't need that much just because I only have a couple of characters over here. All that matters is that it's distinct enough. Right? So it's in different spaces. It's further apart when they're doing different things.
So Harris is using the pre-trained models internally.
No. So what Keras is doing is it's hiding all the intricacies with like it's hiding all the maths that you need to be doing. So if you try to do TensorFlow with embedding, for example, you need to declare a variable and you need to make sure that it's within a certain range. So you need to give the upper bound, the lower bound. So Keras does do pre-trained models, but that's a different topic.
How about the one that you used?
Yeah.
So is it learning the embedding from the tweets themselves?
It's correct. Yeah. For the characters. Yeah.
How does the method you picked using LSTM work compared to other maybe non-deep methods?
Right.
With that sort of sample size, because it's, if you're talking about Trump's tweets, is it large enough?
So the main problem with it is it long enough, right? So if it's too long, classical methods don't work. So there's actually, one thing that I do is I do link you to decent resources. So there's a Cola, so this guy is quite a good blogger, and so he explains how LSTMs work, right? So the main thing about LSTMs is that it can remember long sequences, whereas RNNs, it can't. It tends to remember the short sequences better, but it really struggles with when it comes to long-term stuff. And a lot of that's to do with gradients being able to pass right through to the end, whereas with RNNs, they quickly die off. But again, you can read through that on this. Yeah.
I'm only asking this because I think we have a little bit of time.
Sure.
I wanted to get some brainstorming from you. I've got thousands of profiles of mental health professionals. Some of them suck, some of them don't.
Right.
We know which ones suck because users consistently pick them and say, I would like to go see this person.
Yeah.
The gold standard would be to take someone's crappy profile and get something like this to rewrite it.
Yeah.
Even if it came out with broken English, it would give them the themes and the content that they should include and get rid of all the stuff they shouldn't. Is something like that possible?
But it depends on how you force the problem in the first place, right? So is it so I guess the question is, do you just want a generic profile for good people which this can generate easily because it's just a binary problem, or do you want to personalize it, which will be a bit harder?
The really interesting thing would be to personalize it, to take somebody's bad profile and automatically rewrite it so that they get the idea.
Sure. I can't give you an answer from my head.
Even being able to automatically generate good profiles would be neat for generating.
That should be an easy problem for this. Yeah. Because you can literally just feed in your data to this particular notebook and it should work.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'll get the notebook to do it.
Sorry, just on that question, there's actually a startup in Austria that does it for influencers.
Yeah.
So you can, they provide there is a whole platform for people who do influencer marketing, but they have no clue what they're doing. So they just can put in a sentence, and based on the community that you're trying to reach, so based on the posts on your Facebook page or whatever, they rewrite it in a particular style of language appropriate for that group of people. So I don't know if that's applicable for...
Yeah, do you know the name?
Not by heart, but I will try to Google it until...
There are also website which you can actually find in your CD.
I think that's it for the questions, but Sachin is always here, and he'll hopefully be here for the rest of the evening, so you can ask him more questions. But please join me in thanking Sachin for great. So this is the announcements section. I guess the first and most important announcement is we're always looking for good speakers. Those of you whose companies want to strut their stuff, we're also quite partial to sponsored events by your companies. We've had quite a few of those lately, and they're always fun. The IBM one recently has been particularly good. Now is the time to pass the floor to Greg Pearl of EdWorld to tell us a little bit about what opportunities are there in the space for those of you who want to enter data science or otherwise improve your careers. Greg, do you want to use the mic?
No, that's okay. My voice is loud enough. Thank you. And thanks for the presentation. It's fantastic. Before I get started, I'd just like to say thank you for Troy and Peg for videoing this. We're up to probably more than 20 presentations on the Data Science YouTube site, so please go back and look at those. They're all fantastic presentations. From myself, look, I really focus on data, data science, data engineering. I work across a range of different marketplaces. I do a lot of work in the startup space, across MarTech, FinTech, artificial intelligence, all looking for good data scientists, data engineers, a lot of work with corporates as well. So look, if anyone's got any questions about how to either get into data science or data science opportunities, or if anyone's looking for good data science people, please come and talk to me. I'll definitely give you a good idea about what's around as well. And there's one other thing that I think Eugene's going to be involved with as well, and I'll talk about the next meeting, so I'll know more about it then. But Black Cat Data is an opportunity for people that want to get into data science, scholarship programs into universities and training centres. But I'll tell you more about that next time.
Thank you very much, Greg. And thanks to Greg again for video services. Do we have any other announcements? Yes.
Perry. Hey guys, I'm Perry. I work here at CommBank. Two things. One is please return your visitor passes because Kevin's left me in charge and I don't want to stuff it up. We haven't lost one yet, so don't ruin it for me, please. And the second thing is that the reason we sponsor this is from a talent acquisition point of view. So our talent acquisition team would like to talk to you. Kevin has put his LinkedIn page on the Meetup group, so if you want to talk about careers at CDA, feel free to connect with Kevin on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Anyone else offering jobs out there?
Hi, my name's Molly. I'm here from Vibrato. We are a boutique IT consultancy that mostly specialises in automation and DevOps, but we are also moving into the data space. We have some very interesting projects on the horizon and we would love to talk to you. I'm the community manager. I'll also put my LinkedIn up on the comments for this meetup, but I'll also hang around afterwards if anyone would like to have a chat. Thank you.
That was a surprise. Anybody else? Well, I've got a little bit of good news, but I guess it's as much for the R user group as here. Everyone's a Python user these days, aren't they? But anyone here at all a GG Raptor package user? Hey, 1, 2. Well, the latest version of GG Raptor has just gone on CRAN. So all those people who are working for government agencies, let them download from CRAN but won't let them download from GitHub, you can now use the latest version of GG Raptor, which by the way is an interactive visualization tool, which I'll be presenting more on in the very first visualization stream of Data Science Sydney, which is running on, where's Stephanie? I think it's the 9th. Stephanie? She's in charge of it. So, I think we're pretty much done. We probably have...
How many more before the end of the year, Eugene?
I don't know, my brain doesn't work. Probably October, November. December may happen if we do it early. That's of these. No idea how many sponsored events, and we'll probably get at least 2 or 3 of the additional streams. So there'll be quite a bit of Data Science Sydney before the end of the year, and certainly a few more of these particular ones.